Hi, I'm Phoenix Rising Star, and welcome to Launch Your Life, where we help you to awaken your intuitive gifts, always be in demand, and finally create that lucrative lifestyle you've been craving. Today's expert is Dr. Claritha Yeager of Jade Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine, and she helps you align your body, mind, and heart. Welcome, Dr. Claritha.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. I'm so excited to be with everybody today.
Hey, we're delighted to have you. I am such a fan myself of acupuncture and herbal medicine and everything else that you do. And I just know how much it's opened me up personally. And I wondered if maybe you could share maybe some of your journey on this path of helping others to open themselves up.
Yeah, wonderful. I absolutely. And before I go into that, I just want to acknowledge everybody who has shown up for this series. I think it's a really important conversation to have with other healers and people looking to expand their light on the planet. So you guys are great, and thanks for being here.
Woohoo!
So my personal journey or the
Yeah,
um,
let's hear about you personally. How did you get into acupuncture and everything else that you do?
all of the things. Um, well, I've always felt like I've been like 50-50, sort of 50% art and, creative things and 50% science. And that's how I grew up. My dad was a Western MD. My dad was a doctor in the Navy for 30 years. And my mom she was an occupational therapist, but she was more of like the creative spirit. So that was like the environment that I grew up in.
Wow.
And when I after I stopped like messing around in my 20s and trying to, just have fun, I realized that I wanted to go into some sort of health practice. I wanted to help people. And I didn't want to do like a nursing or massage or anything like that, but I wanted to do something that involved a little bit more of the holistic perspective, treating the whole person, the body, the mind, and the spirit. And Chinese medicine just had all of that for me. We talked about nature and how that influences the body, and we talked about food, and we talked about, the emotional impact that it has, that your emotions have on the body. And so I ended up, after getting a bachelor in arts, in my
Why
younger
not?
years, I went back to school to get a Master of Science in Chinese medicine and then a doctorate in acupuncture and Chinese medicine. So again, there's that like 50-50. And I feel like Chinese medicine and acupuncture is very much a really beautiful blend of art and science. So it just worked perfectly for me. And there are points, as you probably have known since you've received acupuncture, that do treat emotions. So whether it's like, old traumas or just current stressors of everyday life, it sort of encompasses all of that. And through working with people, I realized that I was an empath also. And I always had been, but I didn't really know that until I started working with people one-on-one.
Yeah.
So I was surprised. And then as I continued to work with my acupuncture patients, I really started to notice that there was another layer of something that people needed. There was an energetic thing that people needed a little bit more support around. So I ended up getting my Reiki certifications and started to add that into my practice, doing Reiki energy healing, which is like a Japanese, for those of you who aren't familiar with that, is like a Japanese style of gentle healing that mainly involves like working with the chakras inside of the body. And so people really liked that. It added another layer into understanding them, but also treating them in a way that maybe wasn't super conscious, but more of their subconscious. And they couldn't explain why they felt better in a different way, but they knew they felt better. So that was really important feedback for me. And oh, go ahead.
Oh no, that I'm just like I'm totally in agreement with everything you're saying. That is so hugely important, and that element of energy just opens up more of a soul level, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And as I was doing these Reiki sessions with people and cultivating my own self, doing like regular meditation and working with a couple like more spiritual coaches, I started to develop more sensory things that I started to get more information on, which is I started to see things, so clairvoyance, understand things a little bit easier, claircognizance, and feel things more, which is clairsentience. And so all of a sudden, I was treating more of just the physical body. I actually am treating like the mind, body, spirit, which people really resonate with when they feel so taken care of, and they feel that all parts of them are looked at and being, held in a healing space.
Absolutely. And I think people's experiences in healing and shifting and changing are faster as a result of that whole integrated approach that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Now, with healing arts practitioners, they're so familiar with everything you're saying. It's like, yeah, 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 I totally get it. I totally get it. And I think you're a walking, talking example of how just following your own path has opened you up exponentially. And then in turn, you can turn around and help others open up exponentially. And I wondered if you could maybe address the issue of personal development and professional development. How are they intertwined with what you're doing?
So, great question. And I think it's a really important question for healers of all kinds. And I think it's so important because they are intertwined. You cannot separate what you do internally and what you do externally. That saying, as the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And that's so true in the way that we spend time with ourselves when we turn the lens inward and really cultivate and sort of self-excavate what's going on with us in order to give us that really powerful sense of self. Number one, knowing yourself is crucial, especially when you're a
Yes.
healer, because that was it, results and how your energetic boundaries are set up. But knowing yourself and really having a solid understanding of what you know and what you know to be true, because that translates into how you talk to your clients, how you talk to your patients, and how you stand in your leadership as far as interacting with your patients or clients, sorry, and
Yeah.
also how you run your business, because you are the queen or the king of your internal realm, and so you should be of your external realm, because you have all of that as a mirror for what we have going on internally. So there is
Wow.
separation.
Absolutely. That just makes so much sense. Two of the things that suddenly occurred to me come up for most people stepping into that path. One is, how do you trust what comes up? How do you know it's for real? And then the second thing, when you take that, when you really believe in it enough to take that action, oh my goodness, then what?
Yeah.
So how would you address either one of those?
Well, I mean, our internal chatter is like, we have to be so observant of what's going on up here, because our mindset and our perspective colors everything. It colors how we react to things, how we decide to move forward or not move forward. So really being an observer of your thoughts, really, that's why meditation or, quiet time, however you get to that still point inside of you,
Yeah.
that's why the time there is so important, because our thoughts can run us, right? And so we don't have to believe all of the thought that we have. So if it's, our thoughts coming from our ego, which is, our part of our psyche that wants to keep us safe, that's, it's good. We don't want to be, hit by a bus or eaten by a,
A lion.
wild dog or something. But also it's, sometimes our ego gets wrapped up in fear. And so you have to be able to step back and sort of like unhook yourself enough to see when your thoughts are running you, or if you can just sort of observe them and then choose from a place of love and what you know to be true for yourself. So really it's just cultivating that, how you trust yourself is be an observer of your thoughts and then take actions on the things that feel aligned with what resonate with you.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Yes. And, I think for holistic practitioners, they know that. They understand that just resonates because I think intuitively they're living that anyway. It's just when we get ready to make a big leap, sometimes it's like, wait a minute, I got to rethink everything in my life, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, and that fear and excitement, when you're making a business change, like two sides of the same coin. And so it's like, is this fear just because I'm comfortable where I am in my business? or is it, is it sort of like, is there a tinge of excitement in there too? Because we are all bigger than we think we are. And so sometimes we just need that courage to take one more step outside of our comfort zone in order to let our message be heard, in order for our light to be touching more people. And so, we can always course correct. I always kind of like say that to myself. I was like, you know what, if I make a wrong step, hopefully I've learned something and I just get back on course and I continue moving forward. And so courage is super important when you're running a business.
Oh, you're so right. And I love that fear and excitement because they can feel like the same thing. And so just discerning that gets you back into that. Is it my brain? Is it my heart? And which one do I want to follow?
Yeah, running a business it's an exercise in, your in knowing yourself and like what are you willing to let go of and step forward, and how much am I willing to grow right now, and it might be terrifying,
Yes.
or am I just gonna like stay here and be comfortable. But I think as a healing practitioner, it's always good to sort of stretch those boundaries, see how many more people you can impact and you can help and you can heal, and our business is a reflection of that inward journey also.
Oh, totally. And you made a mention too about, when you uh, maybe things don't go the way you want them to. So you do a course correct, which I love that phrase, because that kind of sets the tone too, that it's not the end of the world. Everything can be learned from. And if you've learned something, now you've made your program or yourself or your experiences so much more powerful. Now they can impact even more people because of what you've learned. So I think something like that teaches us not to fear making a mistake. Do you know? And that can be such a debilitating fear for moving forward.
I know, and like as a recovering perfectionist, I totally agree with that, because there's things that I've tried in my business, and it's like, yeah, maybe it's not the time, or I don't have the audience yet to, like, it's not resonating with people, like I'm not saying it in a way that works for people, and so it's I'll think of it as feedback, and that's where
Yes.
I'm like shifting my mind. I'm like, oh, that didn't work so well, and try not to beat myself up over it, or try not to beat yourself up over it. But it's feedback. And it's like, okay, so just sort of take it as objective feedback, tweak some things and try again.
Absolutely, because we're not going to be getting this completely the first time out, or even the second or third time. When you talk to like successful million and billionaires, it wasn't that way the first time they came out, but it's what they learned and how they applied it that's made them so successful. So, oh, I'm really happy you brought that up. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We're all learning, right?
It
So,
is,
of
exactly.
course we're going to stumble. Of course we're going
Yeah,
to stumble, and it's okay.
yeah, it is okay. It's not the end of the world. Great. Now, you have a free gift that I think is going to be very instrumental for people. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Thank you. Yes, the one of the other things that I add into my healing sessions is our crystals. I like to call them my crystal allies.
Yay.
I'm a certified crystal healer also, and and patients love crystals. By the way, clients love crystals, and if you're unfamiliar with them, or if you are familiar with them, I have a video for you guys. It's called Crystals 101, and what I get into is the science behind how crystals work, because me and the art and the science. So it's the science of
Nice.
how crystals work, how they actually influence the body because of their anatomical structure. And then my top 6 crystals that I think everybody should be working with. So even if you are familiar with crystals, this might give you a little bit more information about how they work in order to tell your clients about why you're doing them, and just another layer of how you can layer it in for yourself personally, or for the people that you're working with, or for another like possible business thing that can be very lucrative.
Oh, I love that. I think that's just so concrete and helpful and just expansive for everybody. And that just makes me wonder, is there, like, if you had to name one crystal, I'm going to throw this at you, but I bet you'll think it up really quick. If you had to name one crystal that would propel people farther on their soul path,
Mm.
what immediately comes to your mind? And then we'll let them explore your free gift to learn how to work with it and why it works that way. But I'm just really curious if there's one that comes to your mind.
The one that sort of intuitively came in right away was citrine, which
Ah,
uh, I don't have one next to me right here where that I can grab, but
yep.
citrine is like this beautiful sort of like yellow golden crystal. It's really good. That resonates with the solar plexus chakra. So the solar plexus, as you guys probably know, is all about sort of like our courage and our confidence to move forward in like the physical 3D life
Yeah.
that we live on Earth. And so I think that would be one of the ones I would suggest for people to sort of have that to move forward, help with their path to moving forward with their business and in their life.
Oh, I so appreciate that. And I'm sure your free gift is giving them all kinds of more information on not just citrine, but other crystals as well to help propel them on their path as well, daily life and soul life, if you will.
Yes.
But that's just so helpful. I just appreciate that so much. And I know the holistic arts practitioners are like rubbing their hands, going, "Okay, where's my citrine? I know I've got one around here someplace." And if they don't have one, then they can go out and find one.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to share for our audience today that you think might help them to expand more fully into who they are and how they can impact more people?
I think it's just this continuous exploration of ourselves and what we get the nudges and the intuitive hits to sort of explore, because you're getting that information for a reason.
Yeah.
And so somebody needs it. And so just continue, like, don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to continue to grow and expand and stretch yourself because you're not only doing it for you, you're doing it for the collective. So I think it's wonderful.
Oh, that's a perfect point. Thank you so much for addressing that. And I think that helps everybody to then let go of their nervousness of, oh, I've got this message and what am I going to do? But now it's like, oh yeah, it's not just about me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great way to look at it too, because if you are not speaking your truth and sharing your gifts to the world, you're kind of denying other people to change in the way that they're meant to too. So it's a ripple effect, really.
Good point. Really good point. Thank you so much. Well, Dr. Claritha, it's been such a pleasure talking with you today. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, your knowledge, your experience, and thank you to the audience too for showing up, for listening to the replay. I know that you're getting a lot out of it as you're rushing out the door to find another citrine.
Exactly.
So thank you everyone for being here, and we'll see you next time.